Welcome, guys, to another episode of Totally Unqualified. We are at episode 25. We're a quarter of the way to the century mark, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Doing great. A little bit tired, but I'm looking forward to talking with you guys about some good things, some bad things about the football world this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton going on, and I'm ready to jump right into it.
Yeah. A lot happened, especially last night, which we're going to get into in a little bit. I'm sure Luke might have been somewhat of a fortune teller in that sense, as he had some specific feelings toward this person, and now that person has lost his job. All right. And guys, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, just make sure to go rate and review us. We do really appreciate that. And also remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, drop a like and a comment if you would like. All right, let's get right into the Guess That Player. You guys know how this goes. Gonna be an NFL player, obviously. I believe the official standings, I caught up to Luke a little bit last week, gained a little bit on his lead. All right, so Luke, the official standings are Luke 11, I have 10, Gage has 3, and of course, Adam Rank has 1. So, Gage, he started a little bit of a comeback over the past couple weeks.
A little hot streak.
Yeah. All right. I obviously ended that last episode, but you know what? This is his time. This is his time to get back rolling. All right. So let's just get right into it. All right. He went to the University of Washington. Okay. Second round pick in 2019.
James Robinson?
No, James Robinson was undrafted, I think.
Yeah. Shit.
2019, Washington.
He plays defense. He is from the state where he currently plays.
It's not Kevin King. That would be 2017.
Has yet to make a Pro Bowl, but will definitely be making a Pro Bowl this year.
Washington.
And he recently just changed his number this year.
Washington will make a Pro Bowl this year.
Change his now. Is it a single digit number now?
It is now a single digit number.
Trying to think.
I'll read them again. All right. Went to the University of Washington. Was a second round pick in 2019. He is a defensive player. He is from the state where he currently plays and has yet to make a Pro Bowl, but will definitely be making one this year, as well as an All-Pro team.
Already?
For sure. He's playing way too well to not.
I'm fucking stumped.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I thought Luke would get this one like right away.
So I wrote down 3 players who I thought you were going to say. I had Trey Flowers because he just got released. I had
He got released.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear about that. Holy shit! Cheers.
I had Quentin Dunbar, and I had Jermaine Kearse of all people.
Oh, Jermaine Kearse. What a legend. No, he is still currently playing.
AFC or NFC?
He plays in the NFC West. I'll narrow it down a little. Narrow it down a little bit for you guys.
Byron Murphy.
There it is.
I knew it was a Cardinal. Damn it.
Okay. He's been having a hell of a season.
Oh, yeah. That's why I said he's definitely a lock for a Pro Bowl this year.
I was going through the Cardinals in my mind. I was like, nope, not the line. Then I got to Isaiah Simmons, and I was like, no, he went to Clemson, and I was too late.
Yeah, but which Washington Husky defensive back would you rather have? Byron Murphy or Kevin King?
Oh, that's difficult. That's a difficult question.
Mm-hmm. That is tough.
Yeah, that is very close. All right, so Gage does not continue his hot streak, so Luke moves up to 12 whole wins in the Guess That Player.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start getting into some topics here. If you haven't heard about this, you're probably living under a rock. But John Gruden has resigned as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Whether that was a true resignation or a Mark Davis, I'll allow you to resign kind of thing. Let's just get your guys' opinions on it. Luke, I know you have very fond feelings for John Gruden.
Yes.
So how you feel about the situation?
Good riddance. Absolutely. The guy's a scumbag, and the league has no place for people like him. He should have never gotten that opportunity to be the head coach in the first place. He became an analyst for Monday Night Football and did nothing in between. He had that, the Gruden like quarterback review or whatever film sessions, but that was it. He did nothing to prove in those 10 years that he should have been a head coach. And guess what? He did nothing in the 3 years of being a head coach, or 3 or 4 now, somewhere around there.
This was his fourth.
This was his fourth season. Yeah, he's done nothing to prove that he should be a head coach in the NFL. Never had a winning season, did not bring this team to the playoffs. And he traded away their best fucking player as his first move. He didn't think that Khalil Mack was a culture fit or what have you, and shipped him off. And look at them now. They were worse because of it. I feel like it's a bad look on Mark Davis, especially for even hiring this guy. I think Theo made a great video about it today. Theo Ash, NFL, shout out. He had like the infinity gauntlet, the trifecta of all things that you cannot say: misogynistic emails, anti-gay emails, racist comments. Like everything was just terrible. One note, I will say, it's weird how this came out from the Washington football team's investigation of their emails and how their business is conducted and what have you. It doesn't really make sense. It's kind of like bad luck in that way, but it's good luck in the way that we're getting rid of these people out of the NFL. But I don't like how the Washington football team is just not going to face any repercussions. They're going to ride off scot-free. Dan Snyder is just going to face no repercussions for any of this. There were leaks that they were sending pictures in the emails of like topless cheerleaders and things of that nature, which on top of all of the other misogynistic and just bad things that the Washington football team has done over the past years. I know there was a whole investigation last year into the team. It's just not a good look. But John Gruden, thank God you are not in the NFL anymore. You have no place. I know the Buccaneers are taking you out of their ring of honor. Good riddance. Goodbye. You should have never been back in the first place.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And I second the good riddance. I made a video about it today, and I just don't understand why there are so many people trying to defend this guy right now. Oh, it was 10 years ago. Oh, well, you know that you would get in trouble if your private conversations got leaked and yada, yada, yada. I don't care about any of that. It was 10 years ago. Okay, it was 7 years worth of fucking emails that they released. Are you kidding me? Like, this wasn't just a one-time thing. It just happened, and he said that one comment or whatever the case may be, and it was a pile of things: racism, misogyny, anti-gay slurs, and stuff like that over a course of 7 years. And I said in the video too, this guy is 58 years old. He's damn near 60. If you think that all of a sudden he just woke up one morning and he was like, I'm not that guy anymore, and just stopped sending emails and stuff like that, no. BS. Absolutely not. So yeah, good riddance. He needs to be out of the NFL. And I've seen people saying, well, where could he end up next? Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. He has no place with the NFL whatsoever. He doesn't need to be a coach anymore. He doesn't need to be an analyst. He doesn't need to be anything. I just want him gone.
Yeah. Who cares? Honestly, who cares what he does next?
Yeah. This is one of those things where I went to the comments on the NFL Instagram post about this, and just so many of them were just blaming cancel culture for this. And I'm just like, did you see the emails? He said something about literally the president of the NFLPA. That was really bad. Like, of course you're going to get fired. Of course you're just going to be, expelled from the NFL. The NFL doesn't want anything to do with you. Like, this is not a thing. Like, this is not about cancel culture. This is about, this man said things that are just unacceptable. And he's at an age where he should more than know better. Like, I don't know if he just, doesn't understand how emails work and that people can actually see them if they want to. It's just stupid. I don't want to hear any of that stuff that, it's cancel culture striking again. No, this man deserved to be fired. He deserved to be fired. He deserved to lose any connection with the NFL. He's not going to get an analyst job, like both of you said. Forget about Gruden's QB camp, which is actually disappointing because it was actually pretty. I enjoyed watching Gruden's QB camp, and you know what? But I don't even care. He deserves this. I hope we can clear as many people out of the NFL that do this as possible, because I guarantee you he is not the only one. He is not absolutely the only one.
Yeah, it's not cancel culture. It's consequences for your actions. He deserves no place in the league. And another thing that's interesting is he resigned really quick, quick as soon as those second round or second wave of emails came out. And these emails are only from 11 to 2018 in the investigation of the Washington football team's emails. Imagine the emails that he's been sending over just the past 3 years, or even this year alone. He knew that there were other things left to find, and he just got up out of there. And you know what? Good, because we don't need him in the NFL anymore.
Somebody commented on my video earlier and said that people shouldn't be forced into supporting certain movements. There's a difference in supporting a movement and being blatantly derogatory towards certain groups.
Yeah.
That's just the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. He's just not a good person. That's the end all be all here. He said some shit, a lot of shit that just states the fact that, this man is really not getting it. He's just not a good person. And to the people that think he that this was cancel culture, that this, he should have been fired. You think he could coach this team after this?
Yeah.
You think his players are going to respect him after this?
He lost.
Hell no. He'll definitely lost the locker room. He lost the locker room more than Urban Meyer lost the locker room, which is honestly impressive. And under a week, that's pretty damn impressive to just lose the locker room as quicker than Urban did. By the way, Urban Meyer must be just on such a high right now that he's not the talk of the NFL anymore. That this just came about and just made his thing look like nothing. Just made Urban's oh, good, they forgot about me. Yeah, no, we have an Urban. This will pass over and we'll still remember that. Don't worry. Oh my gosh, it's such an interesting year so far for the NFL.
And it's crazy because the Raiders have playoff aspirations as well.
Yeah.
It's not like they're a terrible team.
Yep.
And this is just another distraction for them and what's probably going to end up being a lost cause of a season.
Yep. So I do want to mention special teams coordinator and assistant head coach Rich Bisaccia will be taking over as head coach for the rest of the season. This is a guy that has been in head coaching conversations for a pretty good amount of time now. He's finally getting a shot. I've heard nothing but respectable things about Rich Bisaccia. So I'm kind of excited to see what he does. To people that don't know, a lot of teams will promote their special teams coordinator when it comes to interim head coaches, so they don't disturb the offense or defensive coordinators, and they could just continue to do their things. And a lot of times, the special teams coordinator has a lot to do with the entire team anyway, so it just makes sense.
Yep.
All right, enough on that. Let's move to some more positive topics. That was one of the most wild Monday Night Football games I have seen in a while. Might be the best one of the year. Gage, I'll start with you. What did you think?
I mean, just insanity, just crazy. Early on, it looked like it was going to be a blowout. It looked like it wasn't going to be a game at all. Like we were talking a little bit before we started, it was 22-3 at one point. So it was okay, the Colts are starting to get it together. I was predicting them to. I was looking good. I was feeling good early into that game. And then Lamar Jackson said, absolutely not. No, I'm not going down like this. They didn't end up breaking the streak for the rushing yard or the 100+ rushing yards in however many straight games. I think it was 44. They tied the Steelers at 43. They didn't end up getting that against the Colts because Lamar Jackson put on an absolute passing clinic. Was tossing it everywhere. 43 pass attempts in this game, and he completed 86% of his passes.
That's crazy.
That's
insane.
I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear that Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball.
Yeah,
from anybody. That he's proven it. I feel like time and time again at this point. This season, he's looked especially good, and I think he's going to continue to build on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that he is the MVP front runner, but I think Lamar Jackson is the most valuable player in the NFL. You just look at the season that he's having and the improvements that he's made from year to year, really. He has more yards by himself than 18 other NFL franchises. That just speaks for itself. And last night, the records that he broke, highest completion percentage with more than 40 passes, highest completion percentage with more than 400 yards passing. Like it's crazy how much he brings to this offense. He is this offense. Like everything runs through him clearly. And people could make all the running back jokes that they want. They gotta give him his credit. They gotta give him his respect. At some point, the man's an MVP and could very easily win another one this season. Just because we haven't seen anything like him before. And I'm not to say that Michael Vick isn't like him, because he was sort of the first, but Lamar Jackson is far and beyond better than anything Michael Vick ever was. I think we could say, just because we haven't seen anything like him before doesn't mean that he's not a good quarterback. Just because he has a different skill set than some of these other quarterbacks. Like rushing stats are becoming more prominent for quarterbacks now. You're seeing it in the league. You're seeing it with Josh Allen. You're seeing it with Kyler Murray. You're seeing it with Patrick Mahomes. All of these mobile quarterbacks are molding their game after Lamar Jackson. I want to give a shout out to one Marquise Hollywood Brown, because he's been having a very, very sneaky good season. His drop problems seem to be gone. And I mean, seem to be, he's had 80% catch percentage last week, 90 this week, 100 in week 1. And his worst was in week 3 with a 43% catch percentage, though some balls just weren't going his way. This Ravens team is legit. I will say, though, one player that's sort of disappointed me on this team has been Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey seemed to be getting beat a lot this season. From just what I've seen, like when I've seen them on primetime football or primetime television, I'm seeing Marquise Brown, Marlon Humphrey get beat a lot. And that's just uncharacteristic of him. But yeah, this Ravens team is outstanding. They should be easy Super Bowl contenders, led by Lamar Jackson, who I think, like I said, is the most valuable player in football right now.
Yeah. You guys, you said it all. I have been somebody in the past that has criticized Lamar Jackson's throwing. I never thought he was as bad as people thought it was, but I never thought it was as great as, We Hoopin thinks it is. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, he's proven a lot of people wrong. He is. I will say that I am ready to say he might be an elite thrower. He might be. Like he's developed so much since he's come into the NFL, and he only missed to go 43 attempts and have a 80% completion percent. That's insane. 86. That's insane. That is insane.
There was 4,017 games where quarterbacks threw for 40 plus attempts. He has the highest completion percentage out of any of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I mean, I only saw the one throw to Marquise Brown in the end zone that was off earlier in the game. That's the only throw I saw that was even close to being a poor throw. And he's just been having such a phenomenal season. I agree that he is probably the most valuable to his team. He's just such a weapon. He's just such a weapon in so many ways. He's taken what Michael Vick did and took it to another level, which is something we never thought we'd see before. Michael Vick was this just icon of just like, holy, is like, we've never seen this before in the NFL. And then when he left, we were like, we may never see that again, where the quarterback is the fastest player on the field. And then lo and behold, 10 years later, since Michael Vick was doing it in Philly and Atlanta, here comes Lamar Jackson strolling out, winning a Heisman, and proving every single doubter wrong that he could be a quarterback in this league. I'm just so impressed with Lamar Jackson. I've given him my fair share of hate, and I don't think I'll do it again. I don't think I'll do it again unless I see a game where he really underperforms, which I don't see happening. With him, you always have a chance of winning. To come back from a 22-3 deficit in a Monday Night Football game, and the Colts defense is not Swiss cheese either. They have a pretty stout defense. Like their defense was top 10 in the league, I'm pretty sure, before this game. So this was just amazing. Mark Andrews had a hell of a game. And he's doing this with no running game. They have no threat of a running game. I think he only had 64 yards rushing in this game. So I was one of them that said when he's forced to throw, I don't know if he could do it. He was forced to throw in this game, and damn it, he did it. So if the Colts defense can't stop him, I really don't know who can. So this man deserves all of our respect. And I think, yes, like Luke said, I don't think he's leading the MVP conversation, but he's definitely vaulted himself back into those conversations from here on out. So moving on to another game that was a shootout. Chargers, Browns. Crazy game. Luke, let me get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so Justin Herbert, man. Like, what more can you say? A team has never scored 40 or more points and had 0 turnovers and lose the game. That has never been done before in NFL history up until Justin Herbert came back and beat these Browns. I feel I said a couple weeks ago or a couple episodes ago, that I thought Justin Herbert and this Chargers team was being a little bit overrated, especially heading into the season. I can't say that anymore. This guy's legit. Like this guy is legit. He's so smart. He has all the tools that you want out of a quarterback. Smart IQ, nice IQ, football IQ. That is a huge arm, and he's just the body type. Like everything about him is what you want out of an NFL quarterback, especially being so young, like this being year 2, and he's just doing the things that he does. That's crazy. Up against a really good Browns team too. Sucks that the Chargers don't have fans, because this would be a really fun season to watch if they did. But yeah, like that, I want to talk about that for a second. Actually, this is a fucking problem. You cannot be consistently getting more of your opponent's fans in your stadium than the Chargers do. It's crazy. Every single week, every single home game that they have, it's ridiculous. As for the Browns, they have an incredible roster, but something about this team is just off. I can't exactly put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. Like it's not glaring. It's not their offense. It's not their defense. Just something about this team just is off. And you kind of showed in that Vikings game a few weeks back. There's something not quite clicking all the way with this team. And it's weird because they're the best rushing team in the NFL. I mean, Nick Chubb just went off, had 160 yards rushing. OBJ has been a non-factor, and who knows if he ever will be a factor in this offense. I'd like to see that happen, especially now that he's on my fantasy teams, a bunch of them. You'd like to see him get more looks with them not having freaking Jarvis Landry in the starting lineup. But this was an amazing game. By two really good teams, two teams that we're probably going to end up seeing in the playoffs. And the Chargers, man, this is their coming out party. I mean, beating the Browns, beating the Raiders, beating the Chiefs, all in back-to-back weeks. Like that's really impressive. This is one of the best teams in the NFL, and they need to start getting their respect too.
As far as the Browns and what you said about them, you can't really, like, you don't know what's not quite clicking for them. I really hate to say this because I like him. I really think Baker Mayfield is the problem. He's got one of the easiest situations in football right now. He's got a fantastic defense. He's got one of the best run games. So he should be able to make the play action work for the most part. And it's not like his receivers are bad or anything, you know what I mean? But he just can't seem to, like, he's underperforming for the situation that he's in. If they had a slightly better quarterback, I think that they're performing just fine. And I like Baker Mayfield, and I think that he has potential, but as far as the season goes, he just hasn't looked great. So I think that's going to continue to be their downfall unless he picks it up. Regarding the Chargers, Luke, I think you saw my tweet from the other day. Right now, Brandon Staley is 100% my coach of the year. Like,
he has to be.
Through 5 weeks, he's done a fantastic job with this team. The defense looks outstanding. Obviously, I mean, letting a team put up 40 on you isn't fantastic, but they competed still because the offense is so high-powered. They looked really good the week before against the Raiders, and I think that they're going to continue to have those games because they've got the pieces on that defense to continue to do it, and they've got the head coach now that's going to teach them the schemes to do it. So I like him a lot. I like the Chargers a lot. They're my second best team in the AFC right now. We'll talk about my first with the next game.
Yeah, this game was crazy. I just kept checking back at the score, and I was like, all right, it can't go higher than this. And it just kept going up there. Almost like a college basketball score, honestly. But yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert is, any doubts we had, sophomore slump, anything like that, that's out the window. Like, this man is too good. Brandon Staley is doing a phenomenal job with this team. And this isn't a team that made crazy additions in the offseason. They just didn't. Like, they improved the offensive line a little bit. They got Rashawn Slater in the draft. I think the big difference in this team is Brandon Staley. And number two, their leader on defense, Derwin James, finally staying healthy this year. Mm-hmm. He had injury problems the last 2 years. He's finally healthy, and he is making a huge difference on this team. I think he had 17 tackles yesterday with a sack. Like, that's insane. That's crazy. Anybody got, like, Bobby Wagner had 20 tackles the last game, and I know how, in a couple games ago, so I know how many tackles that is, and that's fucking crazy. So this Chargers team is the real deal. The Browns, yeah, I kind of got the same feeling, and like H says, sucks because I really do like Baker Mayfield. Yeah. He didn't have a terrible game here. But it's just the potential of the offense. We finally saw last year. He played phenomenal. He played great last year, like especially in the playoffs against the Steelers. He gave him a chance against the Chiefs. I don't know. I feel like he's just not doing something. There's something, like, I agree. There's something not clicking that was clicking last year. Yep. He has the potential. We've all seen it. He's got the arm. He's got the accuracy. He's usually great on play action. This year, it definitely does seem off, whether that's because Jarvis Landry is off the field, who's usually his safety net. I don't know. David Njoku had a hell of a game in this game. Yeah. And Nick Chubb starting to get going. Mm-hmm. So, listen, you can't really look at either. You can't really look at the Browns and be like they played poorly. They didn't. They didn't. I mean, they were going up against a high-powered offense. We know how good the Browns defense is. You're going to let up. I mean, they let up 40 against a really good team, really high-powered offense, like I said. And the Browns put up their own. They put up 42. It was really funny to see them push Eckler into the end zone because he didn't want to go down. It was shades of Ahmad Bradshaw just kind of falling into the end zone. They didn't want that to happen. So the Chargers trying to, kind of go down on the one. That was pretty funny. That was very smart by the coaching staff, telling them to do that. Yeah. Gave him a chance. But yeah, both these teams are very much in the playoff conversation. I didn't think we would be looking at the AFC West at this point and thinking that the Chargers and the Raiders were the top of this division and the Chiefs were the bottom of this division.
In sole possession.
Chiefs
are 2.5 games back right now.
That's crazy. That is crazy. To anybody that even remotely says that they thought this was a possibility, get off the crack. No, you didn't. So yeah, it just shows you, any given Sunday, any given year in the NFL, anything could happen. You're not guaranteed anything.
I will say quickly though, the Chargers sneakily have one of the best rosters in the NFL. Yeah. Like, there's not really a weakness on this team. Running back is covered with Austin Eckler, who's having just a phenomenal season. They have one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Their offensive line led by Corey Linsley, who they got in the offseason, along with Rashawn Slater. Of course, Justin Herbert, Jared Cook in the entire offense is good. And then, like you said, Derwin James coming back healthy is huge. They have Nasir Adderley back there as well. Chris Harris Jr. was a huge addition. Asante Samuel's been playing out of his mind. Joey Bosa too. Uchenna Nwosu.
Yeah, and this is a team that lost Melvin Ingram in the offseason. Like, you got to remember that. Who was arguably their best pass rusher. Yeah. So just crazy. It's good for the Chargers though. Yeah, I think the Bills are really, really good. Really good. Kate, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I said that the Chargers are my number 2 team in the AFC right now because the Bills are my number 1 team. The Bills have a high-powered offense as well, but their defense is just crazy good right now as well. They're allowing very, very little scoring, even against a high-powered Chiefs team like we just saw. They only allowed 20 points to them. They put up 38 on them. I just don't know. Like, we saw the Steelers beat them week 1, and I feel like that was similar to like the Packers situation where it was just an absolute fluke. Don't know how it went down that way, but that's just how it happened. And ever since, they've been on a roll. I can't find a single weakness with this Bills team. They look fantastic.
All I could think about in this game, do you remember the AFC Championship when Stephon Diggs stayed out and watched the ceremony afterwards? Yeah. That's all I could think about because that's what drove them to win this game. The Bills have the highest scoring offense and the highest scoring defense, I guess, or low scoring. They allow the most points and they score the most points. That's crazy. That's absolutely absurd. You never, I remember, I think 1 year, didn't the Chargers have like the number 1 defense and number 1 offense and like the number 32 ranks special teams, and like they missed
the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully nothing like that happens, but they won't because they got Tyler Bass and he kicks ass. Yeah, this Bills team is ridiculous. Dawson Knox, who I've been clamoring for him to get more touches year after year because he has superstar written all over him, and I feel like people are now starting to like come on to him. Because he finally gets the national recognition on primetime television. This Chiefs team is not the same. I think the NFL has figured out this Chiefs team. I think they've figured out how to stop it. And as I pull up a screenshot here of a stat that I wanted to talk about in this episode, Mahomes has fewer 20-yard completions than Jared Goff, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and Taylor Heineke. They are covering the shit out of Tyreek Hill. They are doubling Tyreek Hill. You can't have him deep. They're playing 2 safeties, and this is really because of what the Bucs did in the Super Bowl. They provided a blueprint for the rest of the NFL. It's a copycat league. Obviously, they showed how they could stop the Chiefs. And you know what? The fact that Patrick Mahomes is turning the ball over and their defense can't get any stops is making his play look even worse than it may be, even though he leads the league in touchdowns right now, I think with like 16. Nothing about this Chiefs team is working right now. But let's be honest, I'm sure by playoff time, it's probably going to be a different discussion because the Chiefs are that dynasty right now. But man, the Bills are, I think we said a couple of weeks ago that the Rams are the best team in the NFL. I think we could say it's the Bills now pretty clearly. Although Arizona is still undefeated, I'd still take the Bills over them.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bills are the best team in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs. Yeah, I want to say that. I mean, a lot of people were saying the same thing about the Bucs last year when they first got started. They started like 2-2, and everybody was like, maybe Tom Brady. No, maybe this just Tom Brady was throwing a whole bunch of interceptions. They were like, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe this isn't going to be as good as we thought it was. Maybe Belichick was the reason Tom Brady was good. And then by playoff time, they were like, all right, might be the best team in the NFL. So I want to say that this is not my final opinion on the Chiefs because the Chiefs have the talent and they have the coaching to just be rolling by the time playoff time comes. So I'm not going to say that the Chiefs are done. Like Stephen A. Smith came on the air and said the Chiefs were done. Like I'm going to make a video about that because that is not true. Anytime you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill in the same offense, you're not done. You're not done. I'm sorry. But yeah, let's talk about the Bills here. Josh Allen's having a hell of a season. That Bills offense, the fact that Bills offense is cooking and Stephon Diggs isn't doing a lot. Like he's not really cooking people. Emmanuel Sanders is just catching touchdowns left and right. Dawson Knox. I feel like the Bills haven't used a tight end in my whole lifetime. I feel like they haven't gotten like 40 yards from their tight end. So it's like, I think like Charles Clay had like a really good game one time, like 30 years ago. I don't know. That's what it feels like. The Bills offense is just not known for using tight ends. That's like anybody that plays fantasy football, you probably want to stay away from Bills tight ends because they get goose eggs. They get nothing.
He's what I thought Adam Troutman was going to be this season. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Adam Troutman just speaking of goose eggs, that was just I drafted him in a lot of leagues too, so that sucks that he really hasn't done anything. It's okay. Blame's not on you. But yeah, Dawson Knox has looked really good. He's a really athletic guy, so that's good that they're finally feeding him. Sean McDermott is definitely in the conversation for Coach of the Year. He was one of the best hires of the last decade. The way he turned this entire Bills team around, and it was pretty instantaneous too. I mean, he's the one. He ended their playoff drought when they still had Tyrod Taylor. That was the year they went against the Jaguars. The Jaguars, I don't want to. Did they go to the AFC Championship game that year? No, they. I don't know. Okay, whatever. But they played the Jaguars in the wild card, and they lost the Jaguars in the wild card. So Sean McDermott has done a phenomenal job with this team, and I would agree saying that this team is the cream of the crop in the AFC right now. Like maybe the NFL, probably the NFL. This might be the best team in the NFL. And right now, they're my Super Bowl favorites. The Bills are my Super Bowl favorites right now. And there are some other teams that are looking good, but yeah, I mean, the Bills are just doing it right now, and the fact that they're shutting people down on defense too is pretty insane.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and give a bold take that might turn me into a clown on the IG a little later.
Let's hope, because I can't be the only one with the clown face on me. Come on.
I think the Chiefs are a first round exit at best.
At best?
Really?
I don't think that they're going to pull it back this season because I just don't think the defense is going to be good enough.
Clip it.
Clip it and ship it.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, my gosh.
Clip
that's going to look so badly for you, Gage.
Clip it.
We'll see.
And again, we both thought that Luke was going to embarrass himself by picking the Texans this week, and then they damn near won.
Can we talk about that for a sec? Because I got screwed over. I got screwed the hell over. Oh, my gosh. That was spot on pick by me. I don't even care that they lost.
I'm so glad that they lost because they just kept scoring. And I was like, what the hell, Bill Belichick? I was starting to think, I was like, is Bill Belichick not the greatest coach of all time? He can't even beat the freaking Texans. But
Davis Mills is that guy.
He played really well.
He sat behind Tyrod Taylor. That's the key.
I know.
That's the key.
That seems to be it. Like Davis Mills might be a starting quarterback in this league. Who knows? Okay, guys, for this segment of the show, we're going to be going over our top 3 underperformers of the year and our top 3 overperformers of the year. So, Luke, I'll start with you. Let's start with let's start with the good stuff. Let's start with some overperformers. So, Luke, why don't you give me one of your
Are we going to go 3 through 1 and then go back and forth between all of us? Or you want me to just list off my 3?
We'll just list our 3, 2, 1, and then go to the next person.
Okay. All right. For my first I'm going to call them overachievers, right? I'm overachievers. My first overachiever this season is going to be a man who a lot of people had doubts in the preseason about. A lot of people had doubts of about his catching and whether or not he could see the ball because it's different from the college ball, and that's Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is playing. It's crazy because he's a rookie, but he's playing like a top 5 receiver right now. I mean, he's top 10 in yards. He's top 10 in yards per catch. Like, he's ridiculous. You talk about his drops, although he doesn't have the greatest catch percentage right now. Every time he has the ball, it's just electricity on the field. Like, every single time. He although the Packers didn't have Jair Alexander for this game, he was going off. I don't know if you guys saw that, like 75-yard touchdown that he had over Darnell Savage. That was a thing of beauty. Jamar Chase is that guy. Had a couple of nice toe drags as well. He's him and Joe Burrow have that chemistry where it's like, it's real and it's justifiable that they took Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell now that we get to see what's going on field. My number 2, I can't not have a Packer on this list. Devon Dre Campbell has not been getting talked about at all. He's been playing like one of the best inside linebackers in the league right now. I couldn't sign into my PFF account. Otherwise, I would have pulled up the stats. But he has been outstanding in the run game. He's been outstanding in the pass game. He had the big interception in overtime on Joe Burrow just last week. He's everything that the Packers have been looking for at the inside linebacker position and then some. And it's kind of crazy that he was just a free agent randomly. And it's not even like I expected him to be this world-beating inside linebacker because I saw him play for the Falcons. He was meh. So moving on to my number 1, and I feel like you guys might have him on your list too. The number 1 overachiever has got to be Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones. Maybe not after the look that Gage just gave to me. Daniel Jones, although he did not have a great game last week. And is he gonna miss time? He is gonna miss time.
I haven't heard anything. I think they're wanting him to play this coming week. They're hoping that he will, but they're not for sure.
Well, either way, Danny Dimes has been taking baby step after baby step after baby step, and now he's starting to take those adult steps, so to speak. He's great at running the football. Obviously, I think he leads the league in yards per attempt right now, yards per carry. Now that they've, started to get an improved offensive line, now that Andrew Thomas is playing better, now that they've surrounded him with actual receivers. Kadarius Toney, by the way, he could go on this list as well. Although they weren't using him right in the first couple of weeks, he is just you want to talk about lightning in a bottle. Like that guy
yeah.
is just ridiculous. A lot of people thought he was just going to be a yak yardage receiver. No, he is more than just that. Yeah, Daniel Jones has been having a great season. Sucked to see him get injured in that Cowboys game, but that's pretty much the Giants are now. Just him, Kenny Golladay, and Saquon all out in the same game. The big three, nice.
Yeah.
But no, Danny Dimes has been outstanding, and he's done more than any of us expected.
Yeah, I like that list a lot. We thought we were going to share some, but I actually don't have any of the same as you.
That's crazy.
But I like those picks a lot. I think Devon Dre Campbell makes a great point. He reminds me of like when we brought in Demario Davis on the Saints.
He does sort of play like him.
Yeah, and he didn't really like Demario Davis didn't do great with the Jets, and then we brought him in. Sometimes you just need the right team, the right surroundings.
Yeah.
As far as my players at number 3, I did go with the quarterback. I was going to put Daniel Jones here, but I was like, no, let me switch it up. And I went with a guy that was getting doubted all offseason. I had some belief in him. His team's record doesn't show it. Carson Wentz is playing well. I think Carson Wentz is playing a lot better than a lot of people were expecting him to. He's got like 1,300 yards passing right now. His touchdown to interception ratio is 7-1. And that interception wasn't really his fault. It was tipped, I believe. And he's got a 99.4 rating, which is like slightly above average for the league right now. So, I mean,
you mean to tell me that Carson Wentz has more sprained ankles than he has interceptions right now?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's crazy.
But he's looked pretty good. I don't think that their downfall has been completely because of him or anything like that. They just haven't been able to get it done. I mean, we saw it last night against the Ravens. They were up. They were on their way to victory, and Lamar Jackson just put it on them. So I think their strength of schedule and some slip-ups here and there have been their downfall, but Carson Wentz has looked great. At my number 2 spot, I'm surprised that you didn't have him, Cordero Patterson. Who would have thought that he was going to have this season that he's having so far? 468 total yards, both through the air and on the ground. And he's got 5 touchdowns so far. And a little fun fact for you, he's got more 3-touchdown games with the Falcons at 1 than Julio Jones had his entire tenure with the team, which is insane to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But he's looked really good as well. And then at number 1, Mr. Trayvon Diggs has been performing significantly better than I thought he was going to. He didn't look fantastic last season. He's come out and he's been an absolute ball hawk. I think that receiving background obviously has a lot to do with his interceptions, but not just his interceptions, because I know a lot of people don't value those highly. They think that he's an interception merchant and that's all he's doing, but he's only allowed like 46.2 completion percentage. And he's only allowed per PFR, at least, because it's going to be different site to site. He's only allowed 171 yards. So I think he's playing really well. And I think he's going to continue to do so.
Oh man, you had a couple players that I had on my list. There's still one at my number 1 spot. You don't have the guy, so bring a little bit of a new person to the table here. Yeah, number 3, I'm also gonna have Cordero Patterson. He was an afterthought to Mike Williams in the offseason. Like everybody's like, okay, yeah, he's gonna be a running back, but he's gonna be the same gadget guy. He's not really gonna put up a lot of points.
You mean Mike Davis?
Yeah, Mike Davis. Yeah. Mike Davis. Yeah, he was. Everybody thought he was kind of an afterthought to Mike Davis in that offense. He'll have a few rushes. He's not to do anything crazy. He'll return some kicks. He's going to be what he was on every other team he was on. Kick returner, kind of gets mixed in the offense every once in a while, but not this insane wide receiver running back combo that we've seen him be this year. And whether that's just because the Falcons have to just throw it constantly, he's actually putting up a good yards per carry. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's over 4 yards per carry. Because it'll be like 9 rushes for 40 or so yards every time I look at it.
Like an 80% catch percentage right now too.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, so Cordero Patterson's having a hell of a year. Trayvon Diggs, I also have on this list, leading the league in interceptions. To have an interception at every single game so far, I think he has 6 interceptions in 5 games. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's insane. Like if you average it out, is he going to get to like 17 interceptions? We don't know. He might break the record. I think the record's like 15 interceptions. Yeah, he might get 20. No, I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to end at some point. But yeah, if I were, the ball just finds him. Like there's some players that like you can't explain it. You don't know why. But when the ball just finds you, you're doing something right. You're just you're always in the right place at the right time. I don't think his coverage stats are all that, impressive. Like he is giving up some catches, but the ball just finds him. The ball just finds him. And that is, you can't underestimate that ability in the NFL. When you just create interceptions like that, that's a very important skill to have. It's a very important skill that very few players in the NFL have. So yeah, Trayvon Diggs having hell of a season. And at my number one spot, I've been wanting to see this for a while from this guy. He's had superstar potential written all over him since the second he got drafted by the Chargers. I'm going Mike Williams. Mike Williams. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Keenan Allen fans. Mike Williams is now the number one receiver on that team. And I truly believe that. He's so much more physically gifted than Keenan Allen is. He's faster, he's stronger, he can go out, he can jump higher. He was the full package at Clemson. He had that unfortunate neck injury, which kept him out his last season at Clemson. He was drafted in the top 10, and he's always had this talent. And we just hadn't seen him targeted all that much. We haven't seen an offense where he really showed anything. He was always kind of like, I would just every once in a while look up Mike Williams, like, how is this guy doing? Like, is he doing anything special right now? Like, because he was just too talented to not be amazing. And now we're finally starting to see that he has the quarterback that could push the ball downfield in Justin Herbert. And that's been all the difference for him, especially with Brandon Staley, bringing in an offense that can really just, do that, push the ball downfield. So good for Mike Williams. I'm glad he's finally, stepping up to the plate and putting up these numbers because he's always had this talent in him. Keenan Allen has never really been the guy that could stretch the field. He was always the guy that was very much, middle of the field underneath. Great route runner. Whenever you needed yardage, like always go to Keenan Allen. Could always get him open. But yeah, I mean, if I'm teams right now, obviously I'm scared of both these guys. But I think if I'm scheming up for the Chargers, I'm more scared of Mike Williams. Because Mike Williams can he can take the top off your defense. He could go up. He's taller than all of your corners, and he could jump higher than all of your corners. So, how are you going to stop him? No team has really done it so far. He's put up, he had 165 yards against the Browns, and the Browns have a really good defense. 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs, he had 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 31 catches for 471 yards and 6 touchdowns through 5 games this year, which is just insane. So yeah, kudos to Mike Williams. He's a superstar in the making in this league. All right.
When we played the Chargers last season, he caught a jump ball over Marshawn Lattimore. And I was like, man, Lattimore's doing it again. He's letting this nobody receiver push him around and playing good against elite receivers. Now that Mike Williams is playing out of his mind this year, I don't feel as bad about it.
Yeah.
I've been saying for a little bit now that I thought Mike Williams was the best jump ball receiver in the league, and he's more than that, and he's showing it this season. One thing, though, I did not put Trayvon Diggs on my list. Since 2010, the most yards allowed by a defensive back was Antoine Blake in 2014. I saw the
stat too.
1,074. Diggs, with the 17-game season added on, he's on pace to allow over 1,100 receiving yards right now. Jesus. I think he's at 65 yards a game.
Yeah.
You'll take the yards allowed with the turnovers because they're such important plays and because you're giving the ball back to Dak Prescott and one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL. Of course, you're going to want that. But I'm just going to hold off on Trayvon Diggs because as soon as this interception streak stops, I think we're gonna get a little bit more info into the player he actually is this season. But nonetheless, he's been playing great this season.
What I said earlier though about how PFR has a different stat than what PFF does, because that's per PFF. PFF has him, on track to allow 1,100 yards. PFR has him on track to allow just over 600. So it's different from site to site, and they compare it differently. Like if PFF might be like, okay, he was the closest to this guy that caught the ball or whatever, so those yards are on him. I think it's really just dependent. So, I mean, that could be true, and he could end up allowing a ton, or he could end up allowing very little like PFR says. I think he'll be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree that Trayvon Diggs is a ball hawk. And when you're that ball hawk type of player, you take more risks. Like you're going to allow more catches, you're going to allow more receiving yards because you want to go for the turnover, you want to go for the interception, and you
people don't take into consideration guys that play the man as opposed to guys that play the ball. And Trayvon Diggs is a guy that plays the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need those types of players on your team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's going to come with letting up some big plays. Like if you play the ball, you grant the risk of letting up some big plays. That's why a lot of players will not do it.
By the way, breaking news: the Toronto Raptors beat the Washington Wizards 113-108 in the preseason. Let's fucking go!
Congratulations!
Round of applause for Scotty Barnes, please.
I'm really happy that you podcast to give us that news. I thought something huge happened. I was like, holy shit!
Something huge did happen, Jake.
Did Marlon Mack get traded or something? Did Bad Simmons get traded? Like something?
Chiefs are looking into Marlon Mack, by the way.
Oh, I've heard a good amount of teams are because Marlon Mack.
Does he play a couple? I wonder. That's because I mean, let's get Josh Gordon on the offense. That's what we need.
Yeah,
let's get Marlon Mack.
I didn't say it earlier, but you brought up how they're covering Tyreek Hill really well now. I feel like the Josh Gordon pick is like, it's decent. They needed defense way more, obviously. Like, I understand that, but I feel like that's why they went out and got Josh Gordon.
I don't know. I feel like they have good receivers there. Like, is Demarcus Robinson still there? He might be.
Yeah.
Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle is a good option too.
Cole Hardman.
Cole Hardman, yeah. I don't know. Chiefs are weird.
All right, let's move on to some of the underperformers, some of those people that are making you pull out your hair, maybe if you have them on your fantasy teams. Gage, we'll start with you on this one. Who are some of your underperformers so far?
At my number 3 spot, and it pains me to say it, Alvin Kamara has been underperforming this season because he's not playing completely just terribly, but you expect a lot more out of him. I think he's like running back 15 right now as far as fantasy goes. He's got 368 yards so far, but 120 some of those came in one game, and he's only got 1 touchdown. So I think it's the scheme as part of it, because even in our game, like against the Giants, he had 0 targets in that game. So we're using him in the passing game very little for some reason. I don't understand why that is, but I'm hoping he gets on track. I think that he will as the O-line gets healthy and as we get our pieces back, and it'll start to open up some play action and stuff like that. But yeah, it just hasn't been great thus far. And my number 2 spot, a guy that everybody thought was going to be like the unanimous number 1 receiver in all of fantasy football this year, Calvin Ridley, has done nowhere close to what people were expecting of him this season. And Cordero Patterson, I feel like that's part of the reason that he's been able to take over, because Calvin Ridley just hasn't been getting it done. He's got 255 yards on the season and a touchdown. He didn't play in this last game. He didn't travel to London with the team to play the Jets, but obviously you'd like to see a lot more out of him as well. And then finally, I could imagine that you guys potentially have him on your list as well. AJ Brown has 133 yards and a touchdown through 5 games. Obviously, he missed one, but still, even when he's on the field, he has been completely underperforming. And I have him on a couple of my fantasy teams, so it is pissing me off to no end.
Is he still hurt, or did he play last game?
He played last game, but I think he put up like 5 fantasy points. I don't know what his stats were exactly, but I don't know. He hasn't looked good. I know he's dealing with an injury of some sort, so that I'm sure has a lot to do with it, but it's been rough.
I feel like it's a mix of injuries, Julio being there, and then just Derrick Henry. Like, I kind of thought it would be the opposite. I thought Julio and AJ Brown, the duo of them, would take away from Derrick Henry, but it seems to be the complete opposite. It seems to be the Derrick Henry show, as he's on pace to have his best season ever. He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. My number 3, I also have Alvin Kamara. I came on this podcast and said that he was going to be the number 1 fantasy running back this year, and I was dead wrong. And I think you said it best, Gage. I think it is the scheme. I think with the type of quarterback that Jameis Winston is compared to what Drew Brees is, not really throwing it down the field a whole lot. And Alvin Kamara is sort of like the perfect player to have in that situation. You see it with Tom Brady all the time, loves to throw it to his running backs out of the backfield. That's not to say that Tom Brady, can't throw it down the field, because obviously he leads the league in yards, whatever. I feel like it's the Jameis Winston effect there. And it's really weird because they don't have Michael Thomas. So you'd automatically think that a lot of these touches would be going to Alvin Kamara, and a lot of their offense would run through him. And it hasn't really been the case. Marquez Callaway, by the way, finally having his breakout game for the season last game, catching a Hail Mary and all. My number 2, and Jake, you're going to hate it. I got Jamal Adams. You might have him on your list too. I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I don't know if it's a Jamal Adams thing. He's just not being used correctly. He's not being used the way that he was last season. He's not being used as a safety. He's being used more as a box linebacker, and he's not really effective at that, especially with how poor the Seahawks defense is playing this season. Jamal Adams has to play better. Other than Bobby Wagner, he's the leader on that defense. He's the leader of that secondary. And you just like to see more production out of him after he had a record-breaking season last year with the most sacks as a defensive back in NFL history. And my number one most underperforming player is Chase Young. Chase Young was my defensive player of the year. Chase Young, I thought, was going to lead Washington to have the best defense in the NFL, and it has been the complete opposite. He has 1 sack in 5 games. He has 1 forced fumble as well, and only 3 quarterback hits. This is the type of guy that was getting 3 quarterback hits a game last season. And some of these teams, like, it's not like their offensive lines are outstanding. I mean, they had played the Giants. He didn't really do much. They played Atlanta. They didn't really do much. Now they just played New Orleans, who, although they have a great offensive line, like, you should be more effective, especially with Montez Sweat and Deron Payne and some of the other guys on the defensive line. Like Chase Young, you need to play better. It's disappointing to see because, you know, he came into the league by storm, he was named a captain immediately, named the leader of this defense immediately, pretty much as soon as he was drafted. And now for him to have this type of season reminds me a little bit of what I sort of saw coming out of Ohio State, where he would just disappear from time to time and just no trace of that whatsoever. I feel like that's leaking a little bit into this season. Chase Young is my number 1. Number 2, Jamal Adams. Number 3, Alvin Kamara.
I am shocked that I don't think you guys stated any of the players that I have on my list.
Really?
But yeah, kind of one. Let me get to it. So at number 3, I'm gonna have Miles Sanders. I don't think this is Miles Sanders' fault. I think this is Nick Sirianni's fault. I don't know if he knows what a run game is, but it's kind of important in the NFL. He had a game where he just had Miles Sanders rush 2 times, and he didn't get his first.
The run game.
I know. Like I'm sure any Miles Sanders fantasy owner feels me right now when I'm talking about Miles Sanders. You can't not give him the ball. He's so talented. This is a guy that can run between tackles. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And they're just not, it's not even his fault. They're just not using the run game. I should really have Nick Sirianni on this list as the freaking underperformer, because this is just ridiculous. Like, you can't play in the NFL without having a run game, without using your running back. Okay. You need to use a running back. Lamar Jackson's the exception. Moving on to my number 2, I have the entire Seahawks defense. I couldn't really pinpoint one single player. You pinpointed Jamal Adams. That's fine. You could really point to any player on this defense not named Bobby Wagner. But yeah, it's completely Ken Norton Jr.'s fault at this point. He's just not scheming Jamal Adams into situations where he can be playing at his best like he was last year, which makes no sense to me. I think he's trying to put him in more coverage situations, because he might have heard about the hate on social media that Jamal Adams can't cover. So he's like, oh, let me put him more in coverage and let me show people that he can cover, except you're not putting him in good coverage situations because we don't have the corners to do that. So it's just stupid. The entire Seahawks defense, we can't stop the run. We can't stop the pass. It's just embarrassing. We have the worst defense in the league. And then at number 1, I have Allen Robinson. And again, not his fault. Entirely. It's more on the shoulders of Matt Nagy. Anybody again that has Allen Robinson on their fantasy team definitely feels me on this one. He's just like, why are you not targeting him? Why? He's a top 10 receiver in this league, arguably. Like this man is really, really good. He catches everything. Like I don't understand. If you have a young quarterback, why would you not go to him and be like, this is your safety net? He will catch literally, if you throw it in the general vicinity of Allen Robinson, he's going to catch it 90% of the time. So throw to him. And they're just not doing. Allen Robinson has been a non-factor in this offense, which is just stupid. I don't understand why they need to get him more involved. You just can't have a player of that caliber who is basically your best player in offense be a non-factor in your offense. It's just not the way to introduce a young quarterback into this league. So yeah, that was my little rant on my underperformers. A couple of Penn State guys in there, just coincidentally. Did not mean to do that. All right.
That's on Allen Robinson, though. I will always
Yeah.
blame Allen Robinson for being in the situation that he's in because he didn't have to sign the franchise tag. There was disputes all offseason whether or not he was going to actually play for them or not. He decided to go to Chicago in the first place over the Green Bay Packers. And I will never forgive him for that.
That's the reason. There it
yeah,
is.
It's crazy. It's kind of like Jimmy Graham saying that he's excited to win actually have Super Bowl opportunities with Chicago rather than Green Bay. And look at them now. That's cool. Look at the coach that you played for. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you bring up a good point. Like, you got to be like, when you're in free agency, you got to like look at these situations and be like Allen Robinson has I made a video on this. He has never had a good quarterback in his entire career playing football back to high school.
Yeah.
At college. Go ahead.
And I have to agree with Luke too, because he had good options too. He easily could have gone out of there and gotten in a better situation. The Chiefs were looking for another receiver. The Ravens were looking for another receiver. They were both targeting Juju after Allen Robinson was like, no, I'll stay with the Bears for who the fuck knows why.
Yeah.
It must have been the Justin Fields effect. But even that, like, that wouldn't be enough to convince me to stay with fucking Matt Nagy as my play caller. Absolutely not. Oh, no, or he did give it up and they've been playing better, but Chicago Bears, bad franchise. Can't wait for Packers to beat them up this week. Woo!
Yeah. It's just stupid. Allen Robinson going back to college, he had Christian Hackenberg, and we all know how that went. And then he comes to the NFL and has the stellar Blake Bortles as his quarterback, and then goes to a franchise that has Mitchell Trubisky, which that's his fault at that point. Like, at that point, you're choosing to go to a team that has an abysmal quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, but Mitchell Trubisky still got him the ball. Mitchell Trubisky still threw it to him. So, like, I guess he went to a franchise with a shitty quarterback, but at least he was getting the ball thrown to him. I don't know. It's just stupid to me. That is on the shoulders of Allen Robinson. That's your fault at that point. Just such a waste of a talent on that team. He's wasting his prime there. All right. So we got the Thursday night football game coming up this week. Bucks at Eagles. Just for kind of the standings here, TU crew is in the league at 54-26. Damn,
blowing us
guys.
out of the fucking water.
Not even a contest at this point.
They had like 12 correct picks this week.
It's crazy.
That's insane. That's insane. Gage is in the lead in this one at 51-29. Luke has overtaken me in the standings at 47-33, and I am in last place at 46-34. Which, I mean, I kind of have given up the risky picks of recently. I've kind of just been going safe. And that's even screwing me at this point. So I don't even know what to do. But let's just focus on the Thursday night football game. Luke, would you like to start us off with your prediction?
Come on. Come on. The Buccaneers are going to go into Philly and freaking waffle stomp these Eagles. There's no way. I think Jalen Hurts probably has his worst performance of the season. Although Levante David is banged up, although their secondary is banged up, there's no way I can see Jalen Hurts going into this game and winning. So I'm gonna pick the Bucs. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory just by looking at the two teams that are going up against each other. I'm going with the Bucs. Give me them 34-21. And as for my player of the game, the past 2 weeks, my player of the game has gotten injured and did not play. Therefore, my player of the game this week is Khalil Mack. And that is all. Do you not get it? Did that go?
Are you just picking a player that has no chance to play in the game?
I'm picking a player that I hope doesn't play in the game that he's going to play in next, which is up against the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah,
okay. I get it now.
Nah, for real. That joke flopped. Give me Tom Brady then. Fuck it. Who knows if he's not going to play now? That's tough.
Breaking news: Tom Brady just tore his ACL. He's out for this year.
No.
No, I swear, if we get a notification after this that Tom Brady was just that Luke, at that point, like, you might need to be arrested for just causing the injuries of all these players.
If we get a notification after this that he suffered like a season-ending injury or something, we are hopping back on and recording.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, Luke, there might need to be a federal investigation into what you're doing here and how you're causing this, because that's just crazy at that point.
Guys, I have voodoo dolls. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, what's really behind the camera, Luke? What's really back there?
All right. I'm going to take the Buccaneers as well. I don't think it's going to be I don't think they're going to stomp the Eagles or anything. I think it's going to be another scoring race. I think that a lot of these Eagles games are going to be like this, especially with the Buccaneers, like Luke said, having an injured secondary and Levante David being banged up as well. I think that Jalen Hurts is probably going to have a big game, in my opinion. Maybe not passing, maybe a lot more on the ground, because we know they're not going to hand it to Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
But I have got the Bucs winning this game 35-27. And my player of the game, I was stuck between two players in this one. And I think I'm going to take a risk here because he may or may not play. I'm going to take Rob Gronkowski. If Gronk is back this week, I think he has a big game. I think he gets in the end zone probably 2 or 3 times. But if he doesn't, then I'm going to be screwing myself. But yeah, that's what I got.
The Eagles are just so confusing to me because they've been in a lot of these games. Like they competed with the Chiefs. They just came back and beat the Panthers this weekend. They played really great against the Panthers, which is not an easy team to beat. But then they go and get blown out by the Cowboys. They competed with the Niners. They stomped the Falcons. Like they're just a confusing team to me. Like I can't make heads or tails of them. But the fact of the matter is they're so one-dimensional with the fact that they are not afraid to just let Jalen Hurts throw it 55 times a game. And that is not, and Jalen Hurts is not, I'm sorry, but Jalen Hurts is not the quarterback you should be letting throw 55 times a game. He's just not that guy. Especially when you, again, have no run game to really let the whole scheme of this week, like the Todd Bowles is going into this week just being like, but they're going to pass it. They're not going to just forget about Miles Sanders. He's a non-factor. Kenneth Gainwell, maybe he'll get some checkdowns. He's a non-factor. All right, Jalen Hurts. That's all we got to focus on. Like that. That's it. Like you can't do that. I mean, yes, the secondary is banged up, and that's kind of the reason why I think that the Eagles have a chance in this game. Because I just feel like this is going to be a really weird Thursday night football game that is just not going to make sense. Like the Eagles haven't made sense all week. And in that case, I'm going to take the Eagles. I'm going to do it. I got to start. I'm already.
You literally just said that you were done with the risky pick.
I know. And that wasn't, what did I also say? I said that wasn't working for me either. So I got to try something else because I'm already in last place. Can't get much worse than this.
I feel like you took kind of the risky pick with me with the Colts though. If we had picked the Ravens, I mean, it wasn't a bad pick, obviously.
No, it wasn't. The Colts were dominating most of that game.
But if we had taken the Ravens, I mean, you'd be tied with Luke still.
I know. I just feel like the Buccaneers have their entire secondary is out. And the Eagles throw a lot. And I feel like they might be able to throw a little bit on the Buccaneers this week because of that, especially with Levante David banged up. It's just the Eagles make no sense to me. So I'm just going to throw this one out there. This is kind of like Luke's Texans pick last week. I'm just saying, fuck it. It's one game. If I don't get it right, I got a bunch of others on Sunday to make up for it.
Are you thinking it's kind of going to be reminiscent of like the Bucs versus the Bears last year?
A little bit. Yeah. I feel like the Bucs have this ability to just kind of play down to competition. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen in this game because they went into New England and New England had a chance of winning that game. Like they did. And even like the Cowboys are still a pretty decent team, but the Cowboys had a chance against them. The Falcons were in it for a little bit when they played the Buccaneers. So it's not something we haven't seen. Like the Buccaneers are not at full strength. Like it's not as crazy as it might seem to if the Buccaneers had just like one corner injured, I'm going the Eagles all the way. But the fact that the Eagles throw a whole bunch, Devontae Smith is really good. They got Dallas Goedert, they got Zach Ertz that's getting a little more involved in the offense. Dallas Goedert's gonna be out. All right. Well, they still got Zach Ertz, who's a pretty good tight end in his own right. So like the Eagles, I mean, Jalen Reagor's been doing some good things. Like they have a shot. Yeah, they have a shot in this game. Again, the Buccaneers at full strength, no shot. I picked the Eagles, but I don't know. Again, the Eagles have been really weird this year, so I'm going to go with them. My player of the game is going to be Devontae Smith. I think he's going to be if the Eagles do end up winning this game, he's going to be the difference maker. He's got to have a bunch of. He can run routes. He's fast. I really think the Buccaneers are going to have a tough time covering him. I imagine they'll probably stick Richard Sherman on him. Yeah. But again, Richard Sherman's not the Richard Sherman of old. He's a Richard Sherman that was, released by the 49ers. So this is not the same guy that he was. And I think Devontae Smith is actually going to eat him up. Yeah, and I'm gonna pick. Are we doing scores? We're not gonna do scores for this game. We'll do
We're doing
scores. I'm gonna pick the Eagles 31-28. 31-28 Eagles for me.
That's wild.
Speaking of, while we're on the topic, last Thursday game, Rams at Seahawks. Nobody got a point for player of the game. Obviously, we talked about that because we decided it was Robert Woods. Nobody picked Robert Woods.
Yeah.
And I got a point for the score prediction because I was off by literally 1 point. So
That's good.
What did you predict?
it was I think I picked 37-17 or what 27-17. Yeah, and it was 26-17 or something.
Okay. Look at that.
Wow, that's impressive. That's really impressive.
Right.
Yeah, my roommate is an Eagles fan, so I'm gonna be screaming at him if the Eagles don't win this game. Like it's his fault. Yeah, and that's gonna do it for this episode. You guys want to give your final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, if you are on YouTube, be sure to leave a like and make sure to follow us on all of our socials, all the Sorely Unqualified socials. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter. And for myself, it's Extra Points. For Luke, it is Football Fan Zone. And for Jake, it is Jake Maltese 3. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. 25 episodes in. We are at the quarter century mark. We're going to be on to episode 100 sooner rather than later. And we just appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much.
Gotta do something special for that 100th episode. I feel like we gotta.
Let's streak the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yes, and then let's bet on there being a streaker at the Super Bowl. Yes.
Okay. All three of us. Yeah.
Putting money in our pockets.
Let's three. How many streakers will be at the Super Bowl?
Whatever the over under is.
Okay.
Yeah. Over under. Yeah. Over under will probably be like a half, maybe 1.5, because maybe there's probably be put in jail for a while. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.